have tens of thousands of different varieties of microbes and bacteria in our guts. And a lot of these are not really understood or even discovered yet. We know they're there, but they're so wide ranging that we just don't understand them. And they can be responsible, an imbalance of these can be responsible for so many common problems: digestive disorders, acid reflux, inflammatory bowel disease, chronic indigestion, bloating, gas, constipation, you name it. A huge range of digestive problems can be down to an imbalance of this gut microbiome. So what I'm going to do today is share with you some of the secrets of herbs and food and diet in regards to probiotics, prebiotics, microbiome, and how you can rebalance these things and get it all working again properly. So look forward to sharing this with you. It's going to be a bit of fun. And what I'll do is I'll share my screen in a moment and we'll talk this through and hopefully give you some new information. All right, so let's share screen and let's have a look at this. So the prebiotics, you've probably heard of probiotics. Probiotics are really commonly given in supplement form, and these are usually introduced especially after you've had a course of antibiotics, because we all know what happens with antibiotics. They basically destroy or wipe out the microbiome in the gut. And so therefore a good course of probiotics is used. And quite commonly things like acidophilus or yogurt are used as probiotics. Then you've got prebiotics. And prebiotics are things that introduce nutrient foods to support the good microbiome. So they feed and nourish the probiotic bacteria and microbes in the gut. And then you've got medicinal herbs. So we're going to talk about this as well, because medicinal herbs are so powerful, both as being prebiotics, but also as digestive support and healing for the gut wall, which also acts as prebiotic in effect. So let's have a look through. This is the first part of it, the prebiotics for gut health, and we'll work our way through. So prebiotics were discovered back in the 90s, as they are really non-digestible foods. So usually in the form of fiber, it helps to feed and nourish the good bacteria in your gut. So all bacteria is basically going to stay there, but it's just got to be in the right balance. So we want to feed the good and not so much feed the bad. And as we mentioned just earlier about antibiotics, once you've had a course of antibiotics, it knocks out the good and the bad. And so what happens is, and this is quite common, for example, if you're to weed the garden and plants, what tends to grow back first? It's usually the weeds. So the unwanted bacteria are a bit like that. They'll come in there really fast after the antibiotics and start to grow rapidly. And that's why you end up with an imbalance of the bacteria after antibiotics. So the bad, unfortunately, are the fastest at getting in there and taking over, getting hold of the gut. And so things like Helicobacter, for example, it's a bad one. So that's what happens with antibiotics, and why it's so important to put prebiotics in as well as probiotics. So you feed the good, fertilize the good, basically. And let's just dig into these a little bit more. They are available in foods, and particularly high fiber foods. So prebiotics come in the food in a couple of ways. Insoluble fiber, which basically goes in our body and goes out of our body again without much change. So these are kind of fibers that basically you get in nuts and seeds and virtually indigestible foods, whole grains and things like that. And that bulks up the bowel movement. So you get, a lot of fiber helps to create those bowel motions. And then you've got soluble fiber, which takes up water, and it can actually be digested and broken down eventually. And this also makes us feel full, and helps to bulk and soften and liquefy the bowel movements as well. And you can get soluble fiber in linseeds, chia seeds, psyllium husk, which we'll talk about in a moment, lentils, dal, celery, carrots, leafy greens. A lot of them have soluble fiber. And that's actually the one you want to have a little bit more of than the insoluble. If you have too much of the insoluble fiber, for example, whole grains and nuts and bran and things like that, you can actually end up with constipation because it doesn't take up the water like the soluble fiber. So that's worth having a look at. And by the way, I should mention that with this, there's a QR code in the corner there that'll take you straight to where this is, where we're talking about at the moment. And you'll see there's a lot of links on here to, you can click on these links to the different ingredients and herbs and so on and get more information. So that might be helpful. Okay, so we did mention psyllium husk. This is one of the most popular ones that's used as a bulky fiber. It's used in products and laxative products as a soluble fiber. And of course, this is a slightly different type of fiber. It's mucilaginous. So it forms a gel. And you might notice if you've had chia seeds, for example, you can do this with chia seeds, is just put a bit of water with the chia seeds and let it sit and stir it up and let it sit, and it will form into a gel. And so this is a mucilaginous fiber. And these are very, very good as prebiotics for the bowels. They soften, soothe, heal, help provide nutrients for good bacteria as well. And we use psyllium husk a lot in a combination with our herbal detox programs and gut health programs. So psyllium husk, it's a good one to know about. Then you've got fermentable foods. So these are foods that can be fermented by the bacteria in the gut. And sometimes you might get a bit of gas when this is going on, but that's perfectly okay. It means there's this process of fermentation going on. So, and you can also have pre-fermented foods, such as sauerkraut and fermented vegetables and that sort of thing, kimchi, kefir, and that sort of thing. So these are the fermentable fiber foods that your body actually ferments itself as they go through the gut. And this helps the positive bacteria. They really love this. They get involved in this whole process. And here's some examples there. Apples, artichokes, asparagus, bananas, garlic, leeks, and onions. And so these are very, very good prebiotic foods to include in your diet. Then you've got your probiotics. Of course, you can introduce these in the supplement form. But a really good way to get this is if you do get a supplement probiotic, is a secret that I use is you can empty this into a pot of yogurt, and you can let that yogurt sit overnight in your warming cupboard, and you will get a massive multiplication of the probiotics. And so you'll get a lot more probiotics for your money if you do this. It's a great tip. So you could literally get 10 times more by the morning of the probiotics in the yogurt. So it's a really good thing to do. But just consuming lots of plain yogurt with, acidophilus bacteria is a very good thing to do, and include it in your smoothies. So probiotics really help the whole gut process. And you can see here, they improve the bowel function, absorption of nutrients, because the good bacteria are involved in that whole digestive process and absorption, help the immune system. Again, we'll talk about that in a second, but your immune system is a huge part of the gut health. Control the bad bacteria, and also cancer protection, because they help break down carcinogenic products that can accumulate in the gut. So a good reason to have probiotics. There's a little video about that there. And here's a bit more about immunity with probiotics and immunity. They actually activate the immune cells that are present in the gut. And I think it's 80 to 85% of your immune cells reside in the gut wall and in that area. And they're held in that area in reserve, ready to attack. Because, so many things can be ingested that are foreign to the body. So probiotics can really help with your gut immune function. And we all know what it's like to get a stomach bug or, an infection in our gut. It's pretty nasty. So another good reason to keep those probiotics up. Now we're going to move into the next category, which is food. So obviously, food is largely what goes into our gut, and so it's so important when you're talking about gut microbiome and gut health and the balance of the bacteria in your gut is the food. Because if you look at sterile food or processed food or food that comes off a supermarket shelf that's been preserved for a shelf life reason, usually that food is dead in every sense of the word. So in other words, when it goes into your gut, it's not going to be providing living, food for the gut microbiome. So the best thing to do is to go plant-based, but also to have a lot of organic food and easily digestible food. So let's talk about this a little bit further. The most easily digested food is food that's high in enzymes because enzymes work in the digestive process. And so obviously fruits are so easy to digest. And if you leave fruit lying around, it will actually digest itself. That's how helpful fruit is to digestion. The enzymes in fruit, and especially pineapple and papaya, those are the two richest sources of digestive enzymes. So it's really good to have that kind of tropical fruit in your diet if you can get it. And we include those in our programs as well as part of the herbal combination, those enzymes. And it's also very good to go organic with your diet as far as feeding the microbiome, because organic food hasn't been sprayed with pesticides. It hasn't been basically sterilized of all organisms. And there are a lot of organisms on the food that help with digestion. And for example, a good example of this is vitamin B12. It used to be something that we got with the food, with a plant-based diet, because the microbes on the food would help the body to and produce their own vitamin B12. And so now if you buy basically sterile produce from the supermarket, your body will not be able to do that, and you'd have to take a vitamin B12 supplement if you're a vegetarian. So this is just one example of organic food having this living microorganism property which can help your microbiome. So you also get more antioxidants which help to heal the gut wall and protect the gut from inflammation. So another good reason to go organic. Vegetarian diet is also known to be very beneficial for digestion and gut health and generally inflammation in the body. It helps to reduce the buildup of fats in the liver. So that's a digestive organ, that whole digestive process. So that really, it's sort of a secondary way of building and protecting the gut microbiome. You also, vegetarians don't need so many medications. They have better body mass index. In general, the amount of medications you put into your gut affects your microbiome. So going vegetarian, requiring less medications, also helps improve your gut microbiome. So a plant-based diet. But one thing to remember about a plant-based diet is to have a low lectin diet. So in other words, not a lot of nuts and grains and seeds and even legumes can be hard to digest. And like we talked about before with insoluble fiber, they don't break down very easily in your body. So when you go plant-based, more fruit, more vegetables, more soft foods, more enzyme-rich foods, more raw foods is the way to go. So, yeah. Now let's move on to the next category, herbs. This is the part I love because I really love herbs. And so I'm going to give you a short list, probably the top six of herbs that we use in our gut health programs, but also herbs that you can probably get reasonably good access to if you hunt around. So these are some of the top herbs for gut health. So peppermint, we know peppermint is very, very soothing for the gut, reduces bloating, relaxes the digestive muscles. So byproduct is it helps the gut microbiome. Fennel seeds. So these are used quite often in Indian food. You'll get seeds to eat after your meal to help your digestion. And fennel is one of those seeds. Cumin would be another one, caraway. Those seeds really help digestion. So great to help just that whole digestive process. And ginger, if you've got indigestion or nausea, it helps to reduce inflammation. It's an anti-inflammatory. It helps the gut lining. Then you've got cayenne pepper. That really helps with motility. It increases the production of enzymes and juices. So it gets everything going, gets all the digestive juices going, which is great for the gut health. Cloves, that's also very good for knocking the bad bacteria. It's a pain reliever, so it's very good for gut pain, stomach bugs, helps knock the bad bacteria there. Then we've got slippery elm. That's a really powerful gut healer. It's quite often used in childhood colic for babies. Make a little slippery elm drink for them and spoon feed it. But that's a herb we use in the whole program as part of a combination to help to heal the gut, along with aloe vera. So, and you probably all know about aloe vera for burns on the skin, but think of it internally when you drink aloe vera or you use powdered aloe vera, that it helps with the integrity of the gut wall and it helps to balance the gut microbiome. So those are probably the top herbs I would select, and they are all in the program that we use for gut health in the Herbal Detox program. And I thought we'd just mention that lastly. So the Herbal Detox program contains all of the herbs above and all the dietary recommendations above as well. So, if you're looking to help with your gut health, then getting all of these things together in synergy, working together, it's called the entourage effect. When you get all of these things that actually complement each other, you can dramatically promote gut health, gut healing, and resolution of those conditions we mentioned right in the very beginning. Indigestion, bloating, gas, acid reflux, inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, even Crohn's disease, colitis, and that sort of thing. So anything that's related to gut health can potentially be healed. And I do recommend doing a program, not just once, but, once a year at least, twice a year to begin with, if you've got, pretty severe or long-term conditions. And by doing a herbal detox program, it sort of encourages you to do all the dietary things as well. Introduces all the prebiotics, probiotics as part of it as well. Cleanse the colon, knock the bad bacteria, and just basically relieve the body of the whole stress related to anything as far as an imbalance of the gut health goes. So I hope that's been helpful today, and I'm really enjoying this process of sharing this whole journey with you as we investigate how you can detox and heal your body with herbs and the secrets of herbal healing. So we're going to keep this going. I've got several months, probably years worth of material that I'm going to share. So it's been really fun as this unfolds, and there's no sort of set plan as far as this goes. I'm just going to work through the hundreds of articles that we've done over the years and basically share them with you one by one. So thanks for joining us, and I'd love to hear any feedback or comments, what you think of the videos, anything else you'd like to hear about. Please feel free to suggest them. So I'll end it